Thank you for joining Beyond the Hop. Enjoy the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe.
This is what I don't think the majority of men understand. It's not fair to be a man. Like manhood in its true state is unfair because everything rests on you. Like however you go, if you're the leader and all this stuff, like the majority of the responsibility is on you. We are to come along and help and support, right? But you have to create the space for a woman to feel safe enough to do that, to submit fully and walk in her, I hate this term, but I don't know another term, this whole idea of her femininity, right? Like you have to create a space for her to support you and for her to be your peace. Most men who say, I want my woman to submit, you got to submit, they think that because you pay all the bills, because you provide, that's where your responsibility stops. And it's not. There are still things that we need from you outside of your provision financially, outside of your protection, outside of we need you emotionally. There are things that we need from you. We need that same encouragement. We need that same support. And it's like when you Miles Monroe said, we are multipliers. Women are multipliers. You give a woman a seed, you give her your sperm, she's gonna give you back a baby. Right? So whatever you give us, we take that and we multiply it and give it back to you as a better version of what you gave us. If all you're sowing are seeds of insecurity, seeds of frustration, if that's all I'm getting for you on top of, oh, I pay all the bills, yeah, but you don't spend quality time with me. You don't make me feel like I am a priority in your life. So what you're going to get, you're sowing seeds of insecurity. So what that's going to look like to you is nagging. It's going to look like um, fussing all the time. It's going to look like, now I'm not saying that it's your responsibility to make me feel good about myself. I ain't saying that. Like that's on me or any woman. That it's on you. But what I am saying is if we're in this partnership together and there are certain things that you want your needs met, you want your house to be a house of peace, you want me to give you the things that you need so you can go out in the world and be who you need to be and not worry about home. There are certain things that I'm going to need outside of just a paycheck. Like there are certain things that I can get from you, I should get from you that I can't give to myself. I can go I can go get a job or I can create a business and I can provide for myself is what I'm saying. That's surface level stuff. But there is a certain level of protection that I can't give from me. It's just like raising a son. I can teach my son how to be a good person. I can teach my son how to just to be a good person. I cannot. I don't care how many books I read. I can't teach him how to be a man. I don't have no point of reference. So there are some things that only that I can't give to myself that only you can give. And I ain't talking about superficial stuff.
So to hear you say, I can't teach my son to be a man, that's a real thing.
Like you wouldn't want your daughter to end up with a man who doesn't love her as much or more than you, right? Like you wouldn't want her to go out. Like I don't want my son to be with a woman who's not going to care about his well-being.
I agree with Yolanda. Um, as far as like us, both of us have daughters. So the first interaction with a man is her father. So it is our job to teach them and be all those things that she need emotionally, physically, and whatever else she may need. So her first interaction is with a man or with her father. So she would know along the line how to be treated by another man.
Because her dad sets the standard. She's not looking for her father, but she is looking for that standard.
Correct. And this is our job to set that standard for our daughters. And And for a man to, or for a woman to set, with her son, like these
The
are the
standard,
standards, this is what you look for in a woman,
right? We're
and
setting the
not
standard,
settle.
right? You're not looking for your mama, but you are looking for the standard. This isn't about how you living, like what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive, or what kind of money you making. This isn't that. That's not the standard. It is, but it's not the standard I'm
Those
talking
are
about.
vanities.
That's quality, like quality of life, quality of living. I'm talking about Chick-fil-A not open on Sunday standard.
Hmm.
In no city, in no state can you find a Chick-fil-A open on Sunday because that is the standard that they have set for that company. It doesn't matter if they in a rich neighborhood. It don't matter if they in a poor neighborhood. It don't matter if they're on a college campus, if they're on a HBCU campus, or if they're on a PWI campus. The standard is Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. So regardless of whether it's conscious or subconscious, you are looking for a certain standard in your mate.
Talking about what are these standards? Because I, when you're actually living life and you're experiencing this thing real time, and you can say, well, yeah, I have these standards that a man is going to do this and a man is going to do that. Like, what are these qualities that you believe a man should possess?
Like she said earlier, it's about feeling secure. It's to me, it's like the highest level to submission. If she feels secure, of course she's gonna give you everything you need in a relationship too. If she's getting everything she needs, and it's like Yolanda said earlier, it's up to us.
If a man is a man of integrity, number one, meaning he does what he says he's going to do, he is who he says he is, right? If he is respectful of himself, if he respects me, if he has a vision and he is intentional about pursuing that vision, how you treat people. Can I count on you if you say you're gonna be here at 3, you are here at 3? Can I count on you to say if you say I'm gonna call you back in 15 minutes, you actually call me back in 15 minutes? Or if something comes up and you can't call me back in 15 minutes, you'll hit me up and say, look, I know I was supposed to call you back, something came up, bam. Maybe not all the time, but you're consistent enough in that action that I know that if you don't do it one time, I'm not over here tripping about where you are. It's like if we're walking on the sidewalk and you make sure I'm on the inside and you on the outside. Like noticing things like that, noticing how you sit when we go out to eat. Are you sitting with your back to the window? So if something comes, I'm the first line, I gotta be the one to see it. Or are you sitting where if somebody come in the restaurant or wherever we are, you can see it first so you can protect me.
Those are good things, Yolanda. I'm hearing you with like a man of integrity, a good communicator, and knows how to prioritize.
And
Those
that
are
ain't cost. And
amazing
she asked
qualities.
him.
Like, yeah,
And
those are amazing qualities.
she asked him to buy nothing.
Say that a man is a good communicator, to say that a man is a man of integrity, and to say, to say that he has those qualities, that's fair. That's fair.
And I'll even go so far as to say this. I know that communication may be a struggle for a lot of men, just because that's not what y'all do in the way that we need y'all to do it. And so if you are honest about that, look, I'm not used to having to do this, but I'm going to try.
Right.
Versus I ain't doing that for you. Like, why you too much? You asking for too much. Ain't nobody else required me to tell them, if I can't make it to like let them know. I just show up when I show up. So now because that's not my standard.
And that's not a person of integrity either.
Right. Exactly. But the other women in his life may have accepted that. And
Correct.
So now because I don't accept it, I'm a problem.
Right.
No, I'm not a problem. You just dealt with women whose standards were very low.
Yolanda says, the challenge that she experienced runs into is the leadership is just not there to warrant certain things.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we're around men all the time. We have male friends, and we know what type of qualities they possess or do not possess. So I agree with her.
Yeah, I mean, what we said, the lames got a roster.
The lames got a roster.
They got a roster.
Lanes got a roster.
The lanes got a roster. Okay.
It's out of control. It's out of control. And that
So
goes back to what you're saying, women settling.
yeah.
Because
Because
I
you
mean,
know he's not a good communicator. You know he's not a lot of the things that you actually require from him. You know this. So what you do? You compromise who you really are for the
right.
sake of saying, "Hey, I have a man."
And two, it's not even, it's a lot of times, and I can be very honest, I've done that, but it
Please.
wasn't for the sake of I have a man. It's because, okay, well, I've always been told, man, Yolanda, you doing too much. But to me, I ain't doing too much. So when you've heard that your whole life and you get pushed back a lot, and then here comes this person.
Misery love company, man. Like you gotta understand, like when you do have certain standards, like people will look at you and feel like, oh, you think you better than everybody else because you're not willing to put up with what they willing to put up with. And yeah, but I know your skin's tough enough to, deal with that.
But when you have dealt with that a lot, and you deal with, like you said, Quincy, trauma that you don't even realize that is impacting you, and now you have done things to try to win over your family, you carry that over into relationships, and now you get with somebody who is saying the same thing, and it's like, okay, well then it must be something wrong with me.
I think that's a lot of what's really going on. I think a lot of what we deal with is people not. We've said this before. You can't. I had someone tell me about a relationship that I was having and how they believed that that relationship was inappropriate because we were friends and I was friends with someone that I used to have a relationship with. And for us to have the type of relationship we did, that I've said in the past, you can't be friends with your exes, but sometimes you have to have interactions. You have to trust your person and understand, like, listen, this is not worth me jeopardizing what we have going on. And though you may have had an experience in the past with a guy that deceived you and lied, he wasn't a man of integrity. That's not who I am. Trust me, if I did a thing, I've lost relationships because I've been honest about the things I've done. So like not everybody's lying. Some people, they will be honest with you about the things that are going on. And I just think what you have is people who are honestly, and it's really no better way to express it. From a moral and integrity standpoint, they're here and they're matching themselves up with someone that are here, and you're never gonna find what you need unless you come down or they come up.
And they 9 times out of 10, they ain't willing to come up because coming up requires work.
Corey,
Right.
you've experienced that. Corey, exactly. Corey, you're somebody I know that set the tone for exemplary behavior in a marriage. Like Corey's somebody I know. Like I know this man when it comes to marriages and stuff. This is a faithful man. I know him to be such. He wouldn't get married if his intentions were not to be a faithful man. But then even in that, you find yourself struggling to find balance. When you have the qualifications as a man and you're trying to work with a partner to build a solid relationship, it
Mhm.
still doesn't work out, man.
Um, as far as that, I think it takes time. Being in a relationship does take time because you have to learn that person, you know. And when you enter it, you have to have an end goal. Like I want this to be a successful relationship. That you have to start with the end in mind. Um, it takes time to learn a person because everybody you meet is not going to be on the same tier as you. So it does takes a lot of patience, and you have to be for the man has to be the leader in the relationship. Um, we both going to possess some different experiences, so I bring something to the table with my experience with life and relationship, and she's gonna bring whatever she's experienced also. So we do have to find that common balance in order for it to be successful. I think when you as a man,
Oh,
you have to be the leader in the relationship. So If you're the leader in a relationship, like it's your job to constantly evolve and be able to teach, to bring that person along with you. And like I say, it goes back to different experiences. They never been with a person like you. So in the beginning, they might find it like, oh, this person is very interesting because this is something I never experienced before. Like I never had a man to be patient with me. I never had a man that's going to communicate with me. I never seen a man who's actually a father to his children, maybe. But it always comes along, as time passes, and both of y'all have to have that willingness to grow together.
I agree. I agree. I
It's
think
work
that,
being in a relationship. It's work. It's
but
daily work.
yeah, that's the thing. Nobody wants to do that much work. Even when you buy
That's
an
the
iPhone,
problem. That is a problem.
even
Nobody
when
wants.
you buy an iPhone, it may come with everything, but you still gotta open it, taking it out the box. You gotta activate it. You gotta download certain apps. You gotta activate the apps. It's still work. You don't just pull the phone out the box and
Start
start
using
using it.
it.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's still work. And that's the thing. Like it's it's wrong expectations, mismanaged expectations, mismanaged expectations of what marriage and what relationship really means and what it really requires. You talking about two people from two completely different people with, like you said, he has his own set of experiences, you have your own set of experiences, and you're trying to marry marry those experiences. But I think that what we have to do a better job of is making sure that we have the relationship with ourselves solid first. Like, I'm not going to be with somebody who treats me worse than I treat myself.
Right.
Even though there are a lot of people who are having affairs, everybody's not cheating.
Right. I
Everybody
mean,
not.
you know what? A lot of it is it depends on your circle. I think a relationship between two people should stay private because people in your circle, they'll have their interpersonal involvement in your relationship. People will script your life, based on what they have been through. And you have to learn how to block those things out because that's not you, that's not your relationship. So you can't listen to your circle for the most part. You have to listen to what that person next to you is saying.
A person will never, and I'm sure I've said this before, you will never succeed in anything, business, career, life, relationship, beyond the level that you see yourself, meaning what
Correct.
you feel like you deserve. That is a very real thing. It is very realistic. I am not going to allow somebody to ever, I've done it in the past, but I've learned from that. Now, in my real big age that I'm at now, you can't come in and I treat myself a certain way, not saying I'm good to me. I speak well to me. I don't sit up and, beat myself up anymore like I used to. I've done those things in the past. So I'm not going to allow you to come in my space and talk to me crazy. I'm
Right.
not going to allow you to come into my space and disrespect me when I don't do that to myself. Everything starts with you and how you see yourself. And if you don't see yourself as worth more than you got to give yourself to 3 or 4 different people, if that's what you feel like is okay for you, then you do that. But if that ain't okay for me, don't think that you're going to be able to bring that over here to me and sell me that. I'm not buying it.
Right. So you have to ask yourself, what is your personal security? Like, what is your personal security? Like, what makes you tick? And everybody don't understand that about themselves. And that's why, you should take your time jumping into a relationship if you don't understand yourself. Because you're gonna get with a person like when you do get with people, like I say, based on the experience, like we coming with an imbalance. We coming into it with an imbalance. So it's basically how do you view yourself? Do you understand your own paradigm?
And if you have this idea, if you have it already ingrained that, man, listen, I'm not finna be with no one woman, then you need to say, or if it's a woman, I'm not gonna be with no one man. I don't care if I do get married, I'm just not built that way. You need to say that up front. You need to give that person an option to enter into that agreement versus thinking that they're buying one thing when they're really buying something else.
I 100% agree
Yep.
with
If
you.
you hold so strong to that conviction, then you need to be man enough to say that to her face up front. This what
I
it
agree.
is, even if we get married. And if she say, I don't care how much you love her, I don't care what, if she say, well, you know what, I'm not equipped to handle that kind of situation. So I'm gonna move on
Right.
and let you get with somebody who can handle that. No, but I love you. You my person. I can't be your person.
I think
There is no way I can be your person.
you have to be honest with them. Like they're gonna accept it or not. And you'll be surprised of the other people who would accept it. Like,
Right.
hey, you number 2 on the list or number 3. Like I'm letting you know. She may hesitate and hey, depending on what she needs in her life, may accept that.
Right. She may be, I just want a warm body
Right.
and somebody that's gonna pay the bills. So while you out doing what you doing, I'm gonna be out doing what I'm doing, but you make sure you pay this mortgage
Right.
every month. And don't ask me for no half because I ain't doing half. You get your half when we go to bed at night. That's your half. And I'm gonna have the other half over here.
Is that true, Corey? Corey gonna say that's true, like sex is enough.
I mean,
sex is enough.
Lames have a roster.
Y'all both said it.
That is lame. To us, it's lame. But they
that's
have
what they doing to maintain their roster.
Hey, when people say like it's a public victory, to have multiple people. That's a public victory,
Yeah.
So
I think pride. I think having a solid, long-lasting marriage should be something that you take pride in. And not to say people have their ups and downs in marriage. People deal with all kinds of stuff in marriage, but being able to stay the course and finding a way to compromise in that journey, I think is very important. What I see as the challenge for our generation is we're set in our ways in a lot of ways. There's not a lot of compromise to us and what we're doing. And granted, there's some things to me I think you should draw a line in the sand. Like there are some real principle things that govern us that there should definitely be a line in the sand. But then there are things that, man, look, hey, no harm, no foul. If you want to listen, if you think the tile should be folded like swans, go ahead, do what you want to do. It ain't gonna bother me, long as they folded. You know what I mean? And I think we gotta be real, have a real solid understanding about those things that are really principal things versus these luxuries and nice to haves that are not really the things that matter. They aren't the things that are important. And
that's why when you enter a relationship, you have to accept that person for what they are. Like you have to ask yourself, like, what if this person never changes? Can I live with this person?
Yeah.
What if they never changes?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste your time. Like, what if this person is like this forever? Can I deal with this? So you have to ask certain questions. I think people should make a list of questions on what do you want.
Yeah.
When was the last time you was in a healthy relationship?
And what did it look like? Yeah.
Do you know how to save?
Yeah. What does that mean when you say I love you? Like, what does that actually mean? What does that look like?
I think you actually having questions, I think is nothing wrong with that.
Nah.
Then you get a clearer picture of what you're dealing with.
They want to know your whole facts. How many people you done slept with? That I get that. Yeah, they want to know that. And that's important, but it ain't as germane as your credit score.
Right.
If we're trying to build at this stage in life.
Right.
That is important to me.
Exactly.
No. And that's the thing. Well, we're not going to even get into that. I feel like a lot of people don't act their wage. So that's what you run into with all of that, man. People are putting on.
Yeah.
But that's a story for another episode.
Right. Right.
Public victory.
So we can like truly ask the question then, why do people, well, I guess we've answered the question, like, why do people settle? They settle for what they have, what they think they can have, versus what they truly want.
They compromise themselves. They're compromising themselves.
But they don't just when you how you do anything is how you do everything. And so if
Mm,
you're gonna compromise and settle in your relationship, you're gonna compromise and settle in every single area of your life. That is who you are. That is a habit.
that's gospel. I had that same conversation with a friend today, and they were trying to explain to me how no, it's different. No,
No, it's
no,
not.
no, it's all the same. Now you may commit like the way that I talk to you guys may be different than the way that I talk to the people at work, but it's still the same thing. I'm going and not going for the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
So, so
Exactly.
yeah,
So when people settle, you can look at their life across the board and you can probably see if they're in a bad relationship, they're probably in a bad job.
right,
They probably are in bad health. They probably are in a bad, just, everything about them. Family relationships are probably poor quality. They probably have raggedy friendships.
Correct.
raggedy.
Oh, seriously.
All right, PG.
Raggedy friendships. Because you
Yeah,
can't, some things you just, that's who you are. You are a person
right.
who settles. It's like when you look at people who play sports, play basketball, typically their demeanor on the court, like how they are on the court, is how they are off the court.
Yeah.
Like if they're
I
aggressive, if they're go-getters, if they that dog, now it may not show up in the same way, but that's who they are off the field or off the court.
I was listening to LeBron James show The Shop, and the guy that runs with LeBron James, he said you can tell a lot about a man finances by how his locker looks. He said if
Mhm.
you see his locker and his locker's a mess, I guarantee his finances are in a mess. I honestly feel the same way. Like the friends that I have, when you go to their homes and their homes are nice and neat and put together, almost like a damn woman live there. Them dudes be super straight dudes, like in every aspect of life. But then when you go to your other partner's house who living like we still in college, their mentality is like they still in college. And I'm just
Right.
that's what
You
I've
go to the house
experienced.
and you're sitting on the edge of the couch because you don't want to touch anything.
Right. Talk to me.
you know, we have certain people which they feel like, or men, like you feeling like you have to have your woman has to be a 10, but you're not a 10. He was worried about whether she used to be fat or not, but I'm like, you don't even work out, so why are you worried about if she's fat or not? Like you're delusional. Talking about you being able to, maybe, help your partner out in some kind of form or fashion. Like, hey, because most of the time, even with that, like they probably looking for somebody to encourage them to do better. But you can't expect a person on this level when you're not on that level.
Has this person ever been at that level though?
Hell no.
Oh, okay, well then that's different.
What they have Wendy's double stacks? Come on, man. You still
But
eating at
what I'm
Wendy's?
saying,
You
what,
still eating at Wendy's, but you would have a problem with a woman that want to eat at a 5-star restaurant.
yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Hey,
So this
yeah,
is the standard. This is a cognitive delusion that this person is at.
People
Man, if
do
you
that
don't
all the
stop.
time, man. I think when you hear people list off the qualifications of a mate, a lot of the times they don't have those qualifications. Oh, he needs to have 6 figures. She need to have 6 figures. You don't make 6 figures. She needs to be submissive. You not submissive. You
Right.
know what I mean? She needs to be a good listener. You not a good listener.
ain't even
You
trying to
know,
be a good look.
he needs to be educated. Man, you got the degree from ITT Tech. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that,
But
but that's where you went.
even with education, it's like it's not necessarily about being at a
No, no, no.
college or anything like that. Education can be a trade or even a book. You educating yourself just by reading.
But it's to Yolanda's point earlier, the things, the qualities she mentioned, it didn't have anything to do with his finances. You know, it
Right.
didn't have anything to do with his
Correct.
education. You know, and that
Because that where the imbalance come in. Like she probably is willing, like if you can meet these standards of mine and you're missing on finance, that's because you maybe not been exposed to, a certain level of finance. But with you being with me, I will show you. That's no problem. But long as you faithful to me, you are a good communicator, you're a great father. If you are all those things, then I'm willing to work with that person.
Right.
Y'all want somebody you attracted to.
Of
Shit, that's number
course.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
don't nobody want to be waking up to no monster every day.
No,
Like,
no.
let's just be honest.
I feel like that compromise is money. That's a money move. I always feel like that. When you see a dude with a woman that look like she got down and 8 McDonald's, and and like Corey say, he in the gym, that's income tax season. That's what's going on now, and it happens. So those moves are made, and women make those same moves. She with, a guy that's compromised in some ways. Yeah, he's 95, she 26.
Of
That's a money
course.
move.
Right.
It's a money
And he's
move.
probably
So
okay with that money move because he feel
yes,
like he ain't gonna
yeah.
be here much longer. So I'm gonna
We
enjoy
get it in.
myself on my way
Oh, we
out.
get it in.
You got too many summers left, so
Right.
of course I'm about to enjoy this.
Of course. So we get that. But you remember that scene? Did y'all watch A Different World?
Yeah.
Of course.
You remember that scene? I'm sure you've seen the clip of Whitley and Dwayne when Dwayne was like, when Whitley said, I want a man who is enterprising and all this other stuff. And Dwayne said something to the effect of, well, what if he's broke? And she said, a man like that'll never be broke.
Oh no, she said an educated man.
Yeah, and one who was
Never broke.
enterprising.
Yeah.
And then he
And
said
that was
something about being,
powerful.
and then she said, a man like that'll never be broke. So
Right.
to me, the man that I described, finances won't be an issue.
It's about ambition to me. And I think that's what she was talking about.
Yeah.
An educated man is an ambitious man.
You got to be.
Or an educated man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, black people, I got to get ready to move around.
If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. To catch up on the latest and greatest, subscribe.